Welcome everybody to the ordinary meeting of Council on 10th March. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and pay respects to their elders and the elders from other communities who may be here today. We also acknowledge all other people who have contributed to the rich diversity of this country. The Council, please go standing for a statement of commitment. I declare
As a councillor of the Honourable City, I will maintain commitment to carry out my duties to the best interests of the community, and that my conduct shall maintain the standards of our Council Code of Conduct, so that I may faithfully represent and uphold the trust placed in Council by the people of our and district.
Thank you, Council. I'll remind you that the meetings are recorded and streamed live, and behaviour is expected to be exemplary, as it always is. If anyone has a conflict of interest under the new Local Government Act of 2020, that must be declared now, and the person with the conflict needs to remove themselves before the item is discussed. Do you have any conflicts? Apologies? No apologies, Elton here. Confirmation of the minutes of the last meeting. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Davis and Councillor Firth. All those in favour? Carried. Question time? Petitions? Bill? Record of committees. The Finance and Operations Committee. Yes, Councillor Hearn.
Through you, Mr. Chair, could we please excise item 4, Community Sponsorship Program, from the minutes of the Finance meeting?
Thank you, Councillor Hearn. Seconded, Councillor King. All those in favour? Let's speak on that item, please.
Mr. Chair, if you just want to move the final recommendation that the report be on page 9, the report and recommendation of the Front Office Committee held on be adopted with the exception of item 4. Then we can discuss item 4.
Thank you. The recommendation is moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Davis. Like to speak, Councillor Davis, Councillor King.
No, thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? All those in favour? That's carried.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick update for councillors in regard to item 4. The Benalla All Blacks have been asked to provide some information in regard to their proposed new room at the All Blacks. That information still hasn't arrived, so I would just like to put an alternative recommendation there that the item be deferred until the April Finance and Operations Committee meeting. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Hearn.
I'm happy to move that.
Who's that? Councillor Davis. Do you have a question, Councillor Davis?
Yes, I have a question. Could we move the other items in that? The other people that are getting sponsorship in that?
That was the only application.
That was the only application that was on. Okay, yeah, I'll probably I'll second that.
Would you like to speak on that, Councillor Hearn?
Just to say through you, Mr. Chair, that I'm glad that it was be brought back up and that further information is going to be supplied.
Thank you, Councillor Davis.
No, I think it's covered. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? All those in favour? That's carried. 8.2 Planning and Development Committee. The recommendation is on page 12. The reports and recommendations of Planning and Development Committee meeting held on Wednesday, the 3rd of March, be adopted. Move Councillor Hearn, second Councillor King. Would you like to speak, Councillor Hearn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councillor King. Anyone else like to speak? All those in favour? Carried. 8.3 Assemblies Councillors Advisory and External Committee. The recommendation is that the report be noted. Before it is noted, I have one correction, I think. On page 4, which is the record of the Accessibility Reference Group, we have Jenny Caxon, which I think maybe should be Jenny Jackson. Spelling could be corrected there. And in the apologies, we have a Lucy without knowing who Lucy is, and she doesn't appear in the committee. So Lucy needs to be deleted, or we Lee Lucy. For that amendment, would someone like to move that recommendation to be noted? Councillor O'Brien, Councillor King. Like to speak, Councillor O'Brien?
No, thank you, Chair.
Councillor King, anyone else? All those in favour? Carried. Reports by officers. Authorisation of signing, sorry? Nil. Authorisation of signing and sealing documents. Nil. 9.2, the Mayor and Councillor attendance at committees and civic functions. Does anyone have any changes to that? I'm happy that they attended or didn't attend. Okay, the recommendation that the report be noted is on page 20. Councillor Hearn, Councillor Davis.
No, thanks, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Davis. Anyone else like to speak? All those in favour? Carried. 9.3, draft Benalla Rural City Council Councillor gift policy. Mr. Barber.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. It's a mouthful, the title of the policy. One of the requirements of the Local Government Act 2020 is that the council adopt a councillor gift policy. The proposed policy is attached as a Appendix 1, fairly much a template policy that we've adopted and adapted from the Engage Victoria website. The plan is to put this policy out for community consultation for a couple of weeks, call for public submissions, and if the public submissions are received, we shall hear them at council, and then with an idea of adopting the policy by 24th of April as required by the legislation. Happy to take any questions, Mr. Chair.
Any questions, Mr. Barber? If not, the recommendation is on page 22. 22. Recommendation is that the report be noted. Moved Councillor King, seconded Councillor Cameretti. So to speak, Councillor King.
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Cameretti.
Well, thank you, Chair.
Anyone else like to speak? All those in favour? Carried. 9.4, COVID-19 financial hardship policy.
I'll speak on that one too. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This policy is a continuation of the policy we've had in place for the entire financial year in regard to waiving of penalty interest on overdue rates and other overdue payments that haven't been made. As can be seen from the report, this has been a well-received initiative from the council. It has cost us probably about in the vicinity of $80,000+ to actually waive the interest for the year, but I think it's been a very worthwhile policy. The intention is to extend it until 30 June, by which hopefully, given current situations with vaccinations and other matters, we should be in a bit better position. So it's been a successful policy, it's works well thus far, and it's recommended that it continue. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Barber? Councillor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Will this be promoted in the local paper around the extension of this policy?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we shall do our best to get it out there, but it's still out there. We've kept it relatively low key, but we can still promote it. It is a good move by the council.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. Barber? If not, the recommendation is on page 24 that the COVID-19 financial hardship policy March 21 review be adopted and the COVID-19 financial hardship policy be reviewed in July 21. Move Councillor Firth, second Councillor Davis. Councillor Firth.
Yeah, through the chair, just with regards to the fact that COVID was very hard on a lot of people, I think, by the way that the numbers are coming out, that fortunately Benalla has dodged some of the worst parts of COVID-19, but it was important for the council to be seen to be doing something, and I think this is just about hit the spot. It's cost us money, but that's what we should be doing, and helping the residents out as much as we can. Thank you.
Councillor Firth. Councillor Davis.
Yes, thank you through the chair. It's great that we've extended this policy. Certainly, we weren't affected in Benalla as much as other places in Victoria and Australia. However, it appears to me with COVID that the people that weren't affected very deeply, and then there's people that were just shut down. And the people that were shut down in their businesses, they'll never recover off what they've lost. But even on the talkback shows this morning, a lot of the small business owners have come back to light and said, look, we won't recover what we've lost in the last 12 months, but let's look forward and build what we had. So it's encouraging that we can do our little bit for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Would anyone else like to speak? Councillor King?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to acknowledge the previous council and the work in getting this policy done, and then this council continuing it on this year, just to acknowledge that. And as Councillor Davis has rightly said, every level of government's doing their part, and it's great to see that Benalla Council is doing their part. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? If not, the recommendation is on page 24. All in favour? Sorry, carried. Lost. 9.5, planning application to develop land for a dog breeding facility. I know this is it has been withdrawn, and the recommendation is the report be noted. Any discussion on that?
I'm happy to present, Mr Mayor. As you said, that's what's happened. Councillors remember back in December that this planning application was originally put to you. Since then, we have had another meeting that was delayed. But between that meeting and now, that the applicant has actually advised that they do not want to proceed, that they'll concentrate on dog training rather than dog breeding. So, happy to take any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Barber? Councillor Kenrotney?
Thank you, Chair. Are there any requirements for us to investigate or look at that training facility they're going to conduct?
Through you, Mr Chair, no, the applicant has actually requested what the planning provisions are in a rural area, and he's going to abide by those. And I think $5 and different things he can do there, so he'll abide by those, and we'll have to worry about the extra conditions of a planning permit. Just abide by the same regulations that all farming zone people have to abide by.
There's no other questions of Mr. Barber. The recommendation is that the report be noted on page 25. Moved by Councillor King, seconded by Kenrotney. So to speak, Councillor
No,
King.
thank you, Mr Mayor.
Kenrotney. Does anyone else like to speak? That's carried. 9.6, council actions pending. One on here that I'm sure the CEO will love to report on.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Hang on, a question was coming. I have to confess, councillors, since the last council meeting, I have not followed that item up since then, but I will follow up again.
Councillor Firth?
We were talking about action number 1.
Item number 1, my apologies.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions on the actions pending? Yes, Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr Chair. Item number 3, that you've got completed, is that put to rest that issue? It's all been completed.
I'm happy to answer that one. Actually, item number 3 is completed, because that was simply that.
Yeah, I'm just making that it is completed.
That actually goes to then item number 7, which is a bit more involved. That's the actual council meeting where it was resolved to remove the trees.
Yes.
The trees haven't been removed as yet. In that, the owner of number 10 wants to try and retain the trees or keep them alive. So we're happy to accommodate that. So if we can do it remove the trees at a more favourable time, as in autumn, so the trees can be reused elsewhere. So it's been arranged with the owner of number 10.
Thank you, that seems reasonable.
Councillor Firth?
Mr Chair, that was the question I was going to ask, and it's been answered perfectly well, and I'm more than happy that they're being removed and still kept. That's great.
Does anyone else have any questions on the actions pending? If not, I'd like to move the recommendation. The report be noted. Councillor Davis. Councillor Byrne. So speak, Councillor Davis.
No, thank you.
Councillor
No,
Byrne.
thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? All those in favour? Carried. Reports by councillors. Anyone who'd like to report? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I have 4 reports actually to present. Number 1 is February 12th was the start of the Lunar New Year, and this is a significant day in their calendar, and we have people in town who celebrate that. I took the opportunity to extend my greetings to people in our community who celebrate the Lunar New Year through my own social media, and was looking forward to hearing the Mayor of Penilla Rural City Council deliver a message. Alas, that's really forthcoming. Identifying important days of our community is a collective responsibility, and it is all of our responsibility as a council to make sure that we extend the same recognition to people who celebrate events such as Lunar New Year, Diwali, and Ramadan, as we extend to other people who celebrate other events like Christmas. Penilla has a long history of non-Christian, non-European communities in our region, and we have to extend the same benefits enjoyed by sectional interest groups to every ratepayer and constituents. It is our responsibility to know our community and represent in our entire. I feel like we haven't met that with the recent actions. If we levy rates in the same fashion on every ratepayer, we are obliged to provide the same services to every ratepayer. The report number 2 is from the former migrant camp conservation committee, 24th of February. I attended the committee meeting with Councillor Firth and Mayor. It was a very good, productive meeting, and we are on track to apply for the Living Heritage Grant for the conservations of the huts. And private owners may not be on the huts, the private owners of the huts may not be in line with the plan at this time, but the council is actually looking to help them in the future. So that was actually a thing agreed in the meeting. And finally, I would like to commend the work done by Penilla Migrant Camp Photographic Exhibition Incorporation, the signage and immense support to make the high quality signage on their own expense for the site. And council will support them to install them on the sites, and that will actually add value to the story and the history of Penilla Migrant Camp. On 26th of February, I attended the Penilla Sustainable Future Group Climate Science presentation with Councillor O'Brien and the Mayor. There were 2 climate scientists, one from CSIRO and other one from the PROM, Dr. Lynette and Dr. Leanne. They spoke about impacts of the climate change and the global and the region's temperature rising, which is a very dangerous and very alarming reports and charts were presented. And it was really a good event with a lot of participation from our town. There were some other speakers from other councils like Indigo Shire Mayor, Jenny Ochner, and Dr. Helen Haynes, and they talked about how the governments and the administration systems should adapt to this climate change and make actions for the future. So that's another good session. And finally, on last Friday, 5th of March, I attended the VLGA Leadership Fast Track Training. In the training, I had an opportunity to meet the local government minister, the state minister in person, and had a conversation and had a chance to answer questions as well. So while I thank him for the consideration, Penilla, for the mental health center, I also raised the problem we have with obesity and overweight population, which is 55%. And since we don't have the ratepayers other councils have in metropolitan areas, I raised that, and he said he's happy to help in that area. So I'm going to follow up on that with the CEO, and I will report back to the council on any progress on that promise from the minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Penilla. Anyone else have a report? Councillor Firth.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the 23rd of February, Councillor Hearn and I went along to our accessibility reference group committee, and that is one of those groups that have been meeting for many years, and it was just marvellous to see everybody back together. It really did feel like COVID we're coming to the end of it, even though we're not at the end of it, but it felt so much better to be able to get people around a table and actually talk. We had some zooming in, but the majority of people, the local members of that committee were present, and we come across some really good points that I think that will be taken further, and the accessibility group will definitely contribute to the ongoing things that we will put in place with this council for the next 3 years. So it's good to see everybody back. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Firth. Councillor Davis.
Thank you, through the Chief. On Sunday, I attended the Swanquill District Motor Show and Shine. I think the organisers were blown away. They were looking for possibly 300 odd cars. They had in excess of 400 exhibits there. I was proud to be a councillor on the day because it was good to see the whole community get together. Whether they're cooking food, whether they're the fire brigade collecting money, and running a COVID-safe event, which I'm proud to say that's probably the first one that's been run in this district, having to collect everybody's name and phone numbers and everything as they went in the gate. And I was so proud that all these people got together to put on such a great function for Swanquill. And it's good to say that, we support those, I always call them hamlets, but those areas, and the people in those areas are doing a great job. I think we should congratulate them for the whole year, especially committee and organisers and just everybody on the day. It was a well-run event. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Does anyone else have a report? Councillor O'Brien.
Through the chair, thank you. On the 18th of February, Councillor King and myself attended the ARTC Alliance Committee meeting with community members and members from the design team that are making a design for ARTC. I think Councillor King and I both agree that at this meeting we felt that there was a lot more progress, a lot more positivity amongst the group, which was terrific, especially because most of them met with the CEO of ARTC just a few days prior, and they felt that they were really listened to. So that was very, very positive. And I think it just continues. We had a great presentation this morning from Benalla Better Rail, so I think that's just a work in progress. And just following on too from Councillor Gunnerupney from the Climate Forum, that was a really positive event, I felt, as well for Benalla. And there were high school students representing P12 did a fabulous job, and I know that the leadership group from that school would really like to work more closely with Benalla Rural City Council on special projects. So hopefully some of those have something to do with climate. But yes, there's a lot happening out there, like you said, Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Any other reports? I have one. I met with Senator Richard McKenzie and Minister David Littleproud on Monday evening of this week. He's come to the area mainly to talk to the bushfire affected areas, but he was very keen to listen to how the rest of us were going. I brought to his attention the fact that the tenants at the Commonwealth Munitions Factory were not paying rates, and they've assured me that they will be following that up, and Senator McKenzie wants me to make an appointment to third, which I'll do in the next day or two, and make sure that they continue down that path. He a very approachable gentleman. I also brought up Councillor Firth's issue about drainage and how no minister really wants to hang their name on a drain when it's open. He said, mate, I'm happy to do that, and indicated that there is funding coming up in June that may be suitable for us, and he's happy to talk to us about that. So I think it was very productive meeting.
Excellent.
Okay, so no other reports. The recommendations of the reports to be noted. Moved by Councillor Gunnerupney, second Councillor Davis. Councillor Gunnerupney.
No, thank you, Chair.
Councillor Davis. Anyone else like to speak? All those in favour? That's carried. Notices of motion? Bill. Notices of rescission motion? Bill. business. Confidential business. The recommendation is on page 30, that the meeting be closed for public consideration of the confidential business items noted above pursuant to section 3 and section 66 of the local government act. Moved by Councillor Davis, seconded by Councillor King. All those in favour? Carried.
You'll go
Lock the doors.
We'll go over. Keep it quiet.
Just get close the door. When they send them to Parliament and they go to vote, and they lock the doors.
They've got to get in there.
Get in there.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.